Hey friends, Mick here, and today I want to talk about a series of amp sims that are simple, straight to the point, and foolproof when it comes to killer guitar tone for heavy music. These are an anomaly. I have a lot of guitar plugins. Some of them are so good that I probably don't need to buy anymore. So good that I sold my Fractal Axe Effects 2 because I was convinced I had enough options at my disposal to cover most of my tonal needs. So when I saw that one of my favorite metal producers, Bogren, was releasing a couple of his own based off of some iconic high gain amplifiers, my interest was piqued. Bogren Digital's amp knob plugins are the exact opposite of what you'd expect from a metal producer who's known for his meticulous and detailed mixing style. Instead of offering you the usual buffet of options that amp sims are typically known for, Bogren Digital aims to give you only what you need and nothing more in this series of high gain amplifiers dialed to Jens' taste with the modern metal guitarist in mind. So without further ado, let's dive into what I think makes these plugins great and what I think really sets them apart from their contemporaries. Today, I'll be using the PRS SE Mark Holcomb edition. This guitar does have an Evertune bridge installed on here. I did buy it directly off of the Evertune website. This guitar comes stock with the Seymour Duncan Alpha and Omega pickups. This guitar sounds great, plays great, and it's a good fit for my playing style. I may do a video on this guitar at some point down the road. Let me know in the comments down below if that's something you're all interested in. Thanks. Alright, so here we have the amp knob BDH 5169. This is essentially a block letter PV 5150. Let's see how it sounds. Sounds like a killer 5150 to me. As you can tell, it's a super minimal setup going on here, but real quick, let me just explain to you how it all works. So this is our on or bypass switch to turn the plugin on or off. We have a pedal button to turn the boost pedal in front of the amp on or off. We have our one and only gain knob to adjust our gain. Down here, we have our input and output sliders if we need to adjust those levels as well. Coming into the settings, under the input and output section, we can make sure that our audio interface is set up correctly. Coming into the preferences, we can choose the audio quality mode. So we have a high quality mode or a normal low CPU mode for a less intensive mode. Down here, this is our riff recording save options. So it'll save the riffs in .wav, or you can use the OGG file type for a less intensive file type. And then down here, you can choose the file path where the riffs save to. Coming out of that, in our gate options, we can turn the gate on or off, or we can adjust the threshold if we need to. Coming out of the gate into the cab section, automatically it's loaded with Bogren's match cab for this amp. It sounds great to me, I'm not going to change it, but if you need to, you can choose no cab, or you could load your own custom IR from any that you have saved. Coming out of the cab and into the tuner, our tuner option, we can choose to set the hertz differently if we need to. 440 is standard, and then we can tune in mute. I always tune in mute. Works for me. We have the metronome option. Here you can choose to type in your tempo if you need to. You can use the tap tempo feature to just tap it in. Down here you can choose the amount of beats. You can do 3, 5, 6, 7, whatever you want. I'm sticking with 4. Over here we can choose how the note subdivides. I'll stick with the good old quarter note. We can choose our metronome sound option. We can adjust the volume with this slider as well. Over here we have this super handy speed trainer option. What it does is you can set the speed to increase by whatever parameter you like. So I have it set to 10 BPM for every 2 bars. This is really handy for warming up or just training yourself to get gradually faster as you go. I highly recommend using this if you need to. Turn that off. Come into here. So next we have our riff recorder option. This is a great tool if you're just jamming out and a cool riff pops up and you want to just capture it real quick. You'll hit this button and then hit it again to save. But before we do any of that, I'm going to set my tempo. So today my riff is at 212. I'm going to hit that button and then hit record. Turn the metronome off, and then hit the record button again to save. Save that as riff 1, 212 BPM, boom, done. Come into your folder here, and then here's your riff. All right, cool. So now that we know how the standalone option works, let's dive into my session and check out some of these other plugins. All right, so coming into this session, this is for the Bogren riff contest. So for drums, I have the wave file that Bogren supplied. I also have the MIDI file, but I'm not running it through anything. It's strictly here to provide me with the tempo information for this track. So I'm gonna be tracking with this BDH3. This is essentially an EVH 5153. Let's see how it sounds. Super tight, super articulate. This thing sounds great. I'm gonna dial the gain back just a hair though. I kind of like it a little bit lower, just for a little bit more attack. Little drier, a little bit more articulate. So my goal here today is to create this track using these amp knob and BDH plugins. The track is only about a minute long, so we should be able to blast through this pretty quick. All right, here we go. Cool, one side down. So let's go ahead and drag that down here. Now we just gotta do the next side. Quick note is that I am not trying to do this as perfect as possible. What I'm trying to do is just get the riffs out of my head and into the computer, laid down so I can really get to work on this track. Okay, round two, here we go. All right, cool, both main sides done. What I do want to do is I want to add a double underneath the chordy kind of chorus section. So I'm gonna take Rev C, drag it over here. Okay, so Rev C is the original Bogren amp knob plugin. This is based off of the Mesa Boogie dual rectifier Rev C. This one sounds awesome. It's got a little bit different of a mid-range than the 5150. It's got more of this kind of bark quality to it. I think it's really great for layering. I think rectifiers in general are just a really cool tool if you want to layer guitars with them. So let's get started on this chorus area here. One side down. Next side. Sweet. Let's drag that down here. Okay, so we have the core idea, the core concept for this riff challenge now. I do need to add some bass eventually, but before I do that, I want to throw down a lead. Got a lead idea. So for the lead, I'm gonna use this 6606 Plus, and I have a little bit of H delay on here just to give it a little extra sauce. Let's see what this sounds like real quick. Sounds sick to me. Let's give it a shot. Sweet, that'll do for now. Okay, so here's what we're using. We have the BDH3, this is the EVH 5153, this is on the main rhythms. On the chorus doubles, we're using the amp knob Rev C, a little bit less gain on there. And then on the leads, we have the BDH 6606 Plus, gained up quite a bit with some H delay, just to give it a little bit extra sauce. So this is the BDH 6606 Plus. This is essentially the sequel to the PV 5150. It's their 6505 Plus. This is one of Jens's custom modified versions, so it's kind of different than most else that's out there. It sounds pretty killer. Okay, so real quick, closing thoughts. Here's what I want to emphasize here. The simplicity of the Amp Knob series is its strength. The fact that I can load these up and not be tempted to start modifying every single little thing is really helping me stay focused on my goal, which is to get the music out of my head and into the computer as fast as possible while it's all still fresh in mind. I'll equate it to being in the room with the producer where they make the general tone decisions for you. By limiting your options to the bare necessities, these plugins free you from the chronic option paralysis that plague their contemporaries. And that's exactly what Team Bogren have done here. They've set the stage according to their taste so that we, the end user, can show up and focus on what's really important here, the riffs and the music. Personally, I would love to see more minimalist, high-quality plugins like this in the guitar software space. So far, Bogren's given us the BDH series and the Rev C, so I'm curious as to what's coming next. Are we going to get something a little bit more British, like an Orange or a Marshall, or maybe something a little bit more German, like a Bogner or a Dietzel? That'd be pretty sick if you ask me. I won't be surprised if in the future we get clean and lead amp knob plugins. As long as Bogren continues to keep it simple, I'm sure they're going to sound awesome. Alright everyone, that concludes this video. Do you like the simplistic and minimal design of these plugins? Are you curious as to what models we might get next? If so, leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, hit that thumbs up button to give this video a like and consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. But just one more question before I go. What about bass? Click this video here to find out, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!